Do you ever wonder what is intended for or likely to be understood by only a small number? The traditional beliefs, customs, and stories of a community. A community not part of the mainstream, unconventional, peripheral, or extreme. Part of an anthology, a published collection of poems or other pieces of writing. This is Esoteric Lore. I'm your host, Edward Aponte, where I push you to ponder the fringes of folklore. Let's take a look inside the brain-bending adaptation of Blake Crouch's best-selling novel, Dark Matter. The show and novel's multi-universe plot is fueled by some admittedly fanciful and imaginative leaps, with an internal logic that could have been constructed by MC Escher. But Crouch insists the story may not be as outlandish as it first seems. Obviously, it's speculative, he says, but there are real, concrete scientific concepts being presented, and I always want those to feel true. Blake's 2016 book, which the author himself has adapted into a new Apple TV series, focuses on a groundbreaking physicist who devises a way to open doors to alternate universes. The box he builds creates an endlessly repeating hallway in the human consciousness, which allows the visitor's physical body to pass into a parallel world. Any given door can lead to apocalypse, utopia, or anything in between. Each reality is shaped by the traveler's intention, mood, and subconscious. Before scoffing at this as woo-woo nonsense, consider these recent headlines from Scientific American. Understanding consciousness is key to unlocking secrets of the universe, published December 1st, 2023. Is consciousness part of the fabric of the universe? Published September 25th, 2023. And here's why we might live in a multiverse. Published March 6, 2024. The physics that's coming out now does support more and more that reality is a creation of our mind. Reality does not exist independently from observation, from awareness. Biocentric beings create reality. For a time in the late 1980s, it looked like the field of neural networks was dead. Its researchers who were seeking answers about consciousness by creating interconnected webs of computing units could not overcome the limitations of their tools. Hardware did not compute as fast enough speeds, software was so simplistic. It wasn't until the 2010s that technology had advanced far enough to allow theories that seemed almost frozen in ember to be explored further. That scientists could leap far ahead into new theoretical territory yet make little experimental progress in computational neuroscience underlies the challenges and complexities of explaining the working of mind and consciousness. In the book, Putting Ourselves Back in the Equation, journalist and Scientific American contributor George Muser brings readers along this quest, tracking the development of different ideas and suppositions that aim to elucidate how consciousness might have arisen and what processes inform, if not create, our perception of reality. Investigating the mind and confronting the hard problem of consciousness necessarily requires the collision of disciplines. The field's most significant researchers seem to have stumbled into it from myriad backgrounds: semiconductors, psychiatry, cosmology, among other fields. The 21st century is predicted to be the century of biology, a shift from the previous century dominated by physics. It seems fitting then to begin the century by turning the universe outside in and unifying the foundations of science, not with imaginary strings that occupy equally imaginary unseen dimensions, but with a much simpler idea that is rife with so many shocking new perspectives that we are unlikely ever to see reality the same way again. In the past few decades, major puzzles of mainstream science have forced a reevaluation of the nature of the universe that goes far beyond anything we have imagined. A more accurate understanding of the world requires that we consider it biologically centered. It's a simple but amazing concept that biocentrism attempts to clarify. Life creates the universe instead of the other way around. Understanding this more fully yields answers to several long-held puzzles. This new model combines physics and biology instead of keeping them separate and putting observers firmly in the equation. It's called biocentrism. Its necessity is driven in part by the ongoing attempts to create an overarching view, a theory of everything. Such efforts have now stretched for decades without much success, except in a way financially facilitating the careers of theorists and graduate students. Could the long-sought theory of everything be merely missing a component that was so close for us to have noticed? Some of the thrill that came from the announcement that the human genome had been mapped, or the idea that we are close to understanding the Big Bang, rest on our innate human desire for completeness and totality. But most of these comprehensive theories fail to take into account one crucial factor. We are creating them. It is the biological creature that fashions the stories, that makes the observations, and that gives names to things. And therein lies the great expanse of our oversight, that science has not confronted the one thing that is at once most familiar and most mysterious: consciousness. The world appears to be designed for life, not just at the microscopic scale of the atom, but at the level of the universe itself. Scientists have discovered that the universe has a long list of traits that make it appear as if everything it contains, from atoms to stars, was tailor-made just for us. If the Big Bang had been 1 part in a million more powerful, it would have rushed out too fast for the galaxies and life to develop. Result: no us. If the strong nuclear force were decreased 2%, atomic nuclei wouldn't hold together, and plain vanilla hydrogen would be the only kind of atom in the universe. If the gravitational force were decreased by a hair, stars, including the sun, would not ignite. In fact, all of the universe's forces and constants are just perfectly set up for atomic interactions, the existence of atoms and elements, planets, liquid water, and life. Tweak any of them, and you never existed. Many are calling this revelation the Goldilocks principle, because the cosmos is not to this or to that, but rather just right for life. Are we already living in a simulation? Maybe what you would choose from our simulation is something very much like your present life on Earth. And that simple thought has led several philosophers to wonder whether we're already living in a simulation. While the idea seems fantastical, we already know how easily we can be fooled into accepting our reality. Every night we fall asleep and have bizarre dreams, and while we're there, we believe those worlds entirely. Questions about our reality are not new. 2,300 years ago, the Chinese philosopher Chuang Tzu dreamt he was a butterfly. Upon waking up, he considered this question: how would I know if I was Chuang Tzu dreaming I'm a butterfly, or instead, if right now I'm a butterfly dreaming I'm a man named Chuang Tzu? The French philosopher René Descartes wrestled with a different version of the same problem. He wondered how he would ever know if what he experienced is real reality. To make the problem clear, he entertained a thought experiment. How do I know I'm not a brain in a vat? Maybe someone else is stimulating that brain in just the right way to make me believe that I'm here, and I'm touching the ground, and I'm seeing those people and hearing those sounds. Descartes concluded there might not be any way to know, but he also realized something else. There's some me at the center trying to figure all this out. Whether or not I'm a brain in a vat, I'm pondering the problem. I'm thinking about this, and therefore I exist. What is the origin of consciousness according to the oldest Vedic texts? The oldest Vedic text, particularly the Rig Veda, provides a rich tapestry of hymns and philosophical insights that explore the nature of consciousness and the cosmos. According to the Rig Veda and subsequent Vedic literature, the origin of consciousness is intertwined with the creation of the universe and the nature of reality, often referred to as Brahman. Brahman, in Vedic philosophy, is the ultimate unchanging reality composed of pure consciousness. It is the source of all existence and the essence that pervades everything. Brahman is both immanent and transcendent, encompassing the material and the spiritual. The Rig Veda is the oldest of the Vedas, contains hymns that address the origins of the universe and the nature of existence. One of the most famous hymns is the Creation Hymn, which ponders the origin of the cosmos and the mystery of creation. The Creation Hymn begins by describing a time when there was neither existence nor non-existence, neither the realms of space nor the sky beyond. There was no death or immortality, no sign of night or day. It goes on to describe a state where the One breathed without breath by its own nature. This One is often interpreted as Brahman, the ultimate reality and source of all that exists. The hymn concludes with an acknowledgement of the mystery of creation, suggesting that even the gods might not know the ultimate origin of the universe. The Hindu sages teach that there are three principles of nature, which combined correctly are the source of power for all magic. Number 1, acacia, the ethereal substance pervading all space from which all material forms are produced. 2, prana, the subtle energy which animates and energizes all nature. 3, creative mind, the mental element in which all designs are created in imagined form, after which they become materialized in objective form through the action of visualization accompanied by the action of prana operating upon the acacia, which is the essential and original state of matter. Western students will recognize in these three principles the basis of all created matter as observed by science, the acacia being the all-pervading atomic material in space from which all matter is formed, the prana as the energy force, including life, which animates and energizes all things, and creative mind as the designer of matter. Therefore, acacia is regarded as the essential base substance of all things, all material things, from atoms to stars, from microscopic forms of life to man, and it will be molded and formed by creative mind through the agency of prana. Let me emphasize the importance of what I've told you by putting it in the words of the great teachers. Quote, learn well the basics of acacia, prana, and creative mind, for such are the foundation stones for the performance of all magics. End quote. Or may I say, for the performance of mind over matter. Renowned neuroscientist David Eagleman, in his book The Brain, The Story of You, writes, and I quote, in the coming years, we will discover more about the human brain than we can describe with our current theories and frameworks. At the moment, we're surrounded by mysteries, many that we recognize and many we haven't yet registered. As a field, we have vast uncharted waters ahead of us. As always in science, the important thing is to run the experiments and assess the results. Mother Nature will then tell us which approaches are blind alleys and which move us further down the road of understanding the blueprints of our own minds. Only one thing is certain: our species is just at the beginning of something, and we don't really fully know what it is. We're at the unprecedented moment in history, one in which the brain, science, and technology are co-evolving. What happens at this intersection is poised to change who we are. For thousands of generations, humans have lived the same sort of life cycle over and over. We're born, we control a fragile body, we enjoy a small strip of sensory reality, and then we die. Science may give us the tools to transcend that evolutionary story. We can now hack our own hardware, and as a result, our brains don't need to remain as we've inherited them. We're capable of inhabiting new kinds of sensory realities and new kinds of bodies. Eventually, we may even be able to shed our physical forms altogether. Our species is just now discovering the tools to shape our own destiny. Who we become is up to us. If you like this video, please subscribe, share, and give us a thumbs up. Thanks for watching. See you next time.